Have you ever heard a whisper in the dark or witnessed something unexplainable? Prepare for an investigation into eerie encounters as we separate fact from fiction in the realm of the unseen. Our exploration begins with a basic question. What exactly is a ghost? Look into the history of any culture, and you'll find the idea of unseen entities dwelling among us or returning from the dead is as old as humanity itself. From the ancient Egyptian Ka and Ba, which could leave the body after death, to ancestor spirits in shamanic beliefs, this concept permeates civilizations. In ancient Greece and Rome, for example, the souls of the dead were seen as shadows dwelling in the underworld, sometimes able to return. In medieval Europe, ghosts were often associated with souls stuck in purgatory or vengeful spirits seeking justice. These stories, sometimes terrifying, sometimes instructive, were passed down through generations, shaping our collective unconscious. But what about today? In an age of satellite technology and genetic breakthroughs, you'd think superstition would be a thing of the past. Yet belief in ghosts not only persists, but thrives, fueled by mass culture, from horror movies to paranormal TV shows. Why do we cling to these images? Perhaps it's not just ancient myths, but something deeper, rooted in the human psyche. A desire to explain the unexplainable, to continue life beyond the veil. We'll examine these cultural and psychological roots before moving on to specific evidence. Now that we've laid the groundwork, understanding the cultural roots of belief in ghosts, it's time to look at concrete proof. Stories of encounters with echoes of the past come from all corners of the globe, and some have become urban legends or subjects of serious investigation. As a skeptic, I propose we examine a few of the most famous cases, considered by many to be undeniable evidence of spirits. Case File 1. The Amityville Horror, 112 Ocean Avenue. Perhaps one of the most famous and chilling stories of recent decades. In 1974, in the small town of Amityville, New York, a horrific mass murder occurred. Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family as they slept. A year later, the Lutz family moved into the house, George, Kathy, and their 3 children. Their stay lasted only 28 days. During that time, they claimed to have experienced a real nightmare. Unexplained odors, levitating objects, voices, disgusting green slime, and even demonic figures. The family fled in terror, leaving everything behind. Their story became the basis for best-selling books and movies, leading millions to believe in a malevolent poltergeist. Case File 2. The Winchester Mystery House, a labyrinth for spirits. Let's move to California, where another architectural marvel stands. Built, it is said, to appease ghosts. After the deaths of her husband and child, Sarah Winchester, heiress to the Winchester rifle fortune, consulted a medium. She was told that the family was cursed by the spirits of all those killed by her family's rifles. To avoid their revenge, Sarah had to constantly build a house, never stopping work for a minute to confuse the ghosts. For 38 years, until her death, construction continued. The result? A mansion with 160 rooms, staircases leading to the ceiling, doors into walls, and windows in the floor. Staff and visitors still report unexplained noises, cold spots, and apparitions. These stories are certainly captivating, but are they irrefutable proof? Or is there something more mundane behind each real encounter, something we might not want to see? We've just delved into the world of fascinating ghost stories and unexplained phenomena. They certainly stir the imagination. But as a true investigator, I can't stop at mere testimony. My job is to try to find rational explanations where others see the supernatural. And as it turns out, science and psychology offer many compelling alternatives. Take, for example, the feeling of presence, or unexplained fear, often described by eyewitnesses. Scientists have long studied the phenomenon of infrasound. These are sound waves of very low frequency, beyond the range of human hearing, but our bodies can sense them. Sources of infrasound can be natural phenomena, storms, earthquakes, strong winds, or even working machinery, fans, or traffic. Studies show that infrasound can cause feelings of anxiety, disorientation, pressure in the chest, and even visual hallucinations when peripheral vision picks up distortions that the brain interprets as moving shadows. It's no wonder that old, poorly insulated buildings exposed to wind or vibrations often become haunted houses. Furthermore, it is worth paying attention to psychological factors. Our brain is an amazing, but sometimes deceptive instrument. The phenomenon of pareidolia is the tendency to see familiar images, faces, figures in random or unclear stimuli, be it clouds, shadows, or patterns on the wall. When we already expect to see a ghost, our brain readily fills in the missing details. The placebo effect and the power of suggestion also play a huge role. If a person sincerely believes in the paranormal or is in a place with a bad reputation, their perception is heightened, and they tend to interpret ordinary noises, creaks, or temperature changes as something supernatural. We can't discount environmental factors either. Old houses, for example, can have ventilation problems, leading to a buildup of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide poisoning causes headaches, dizziness, nausea, but also auditory and visual hallucinations, or, say, electromagnetic fields. Some researchers suggest that anomalies in the electromagnetic field, which can be caused by old wiring or geomagnetic disturbances can affect the temporal lobes of the brain, causing strange sensations and even visions. Of course, these explanations lack a mystical aura, but they offer us a logical, scientifically grounded view of the world. Perhaps what we take for ghosts is simply a reflection of our own psychology and reaction to physical phenomena that we don't yet fully understand. We've seen how science offers compelling explanations for many paranormal phenomena. Infrasound, carbon monoxide, electromagnetic fields. All of these can create the illusion of presence or visions. But what happens when, despite all these rational arguments, people continue to believe? This is where the traps of our own perception and, unfortunately, sometimes outright fabrications come into play. The human brain is not only complex, but also a very vulnerable instrument. We are prone to so-called cognitive biases. One of the most powerful is confirmation bias. We actively seek, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms our existing beliefs. If a person believes in ghosts, they are more likely to perceive every creak in the house as a manifestation of a spirit, ignoring obvious explanations. The same goes for the power of suggestion. It only takes one person who confidently declares that there's something here for others to start feeling and seeing. The history of paranormal investigations is full of examples where belief was stronger than facts, and the desire to see a miracle led to mass delusions. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, spirit photography was at the peak of its popularity, when images of deceased relatives supposedly appeared in photographs. It was later proven that most of them were the result of double exposure, the use of fake negatives, or other simple tricks. The same goes for numerous seances with mediums, where contact with the other side was achieved through sleight of hand, hidden accomplices, and psychological pressure on grieving people. Let's recall the Amityville Horror we talked about earlier. Despite the drama of the Lutz family story, many details of their account have been questioned. Neighbors did not confirm such obvious anomalies, and one of Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s lawyers, the killer, later admitted that he and the Lutz family made up most of the paranormal events to make money from the book. This doesn't mean that there wasn't anything strange in the house, but it shows how easily details can be exaggerated or fabricated if there is a motive. Stories like these are not just debunkings. They are vivid lessons about how easily our minds can be deceived, especially when we are faced with something that deeply affects our emotions, fears, or hopes. The role of a skeptic here is not to deny everything, but to question, to seek alternative explanations, and to always remember that what is visible is not always true. We've come a long way from ancient legends and heartbreaking testimonies to scientific explanations and exposures. We tried to separate the wheat from the chaff, armed with logic and skepticism. But even if most real encounters with ghosts can be explained by infrasound, cognitive biases, or simple falsification, one main question remains. Why does humanity cling so stubbornly to the idea of ghosts and spirits? The answer, it seems to me, lies not in the external world, but deep within ourselves. Ghosts are first and foremost a reflection of our deepest fears and hopes. The fear of death, the unknown, the loss of loved ones. All this creates a natural desire to believe in continuation, in the fact that the connection is not broken forever. The idea that a loved one can return, even as a shadow, gives comfort. And the thought of a vengeful spirit, on the contrary, serves as a powerful moral lesson, a warning about the consequences of our actions. From a psychological point of view, ghosts often act as projections of our subconscious. Guilt, unresolved conflicts, traumas, all this can materialize into visions or sensations that our brain, in an attempt to make sense of internal experiences, interprets as external influence. This is a kind of psychosomatics of the soul, when inner anxiety manifests itself through supernatural symptoms. In cultural terms, ghosts are more than just scary stories. They are part of our collective narrative, a way of preserving memory, passing on traditions, and shaping identity. From folklore to modern literature and cinema, the images of ghosts allow us to explore themes of justice, redemption, love, and loss without risking encountering them in real life. They give us the opportunity to experience emotions that we try to suppress in everyday life. So, perhaps it doesn't matter so much whether ghosts exist objectively. What matters is that they exist in our culture, in our psychology, in our stories. They are a mirror in which our eternal questions about life and death, about good and evil, about who we are and what we will leave behind are reflected. And as long as these questions remain, ghosts will continue to wander through the corridors of our consciousness, reminding us of the unsolved mysteries that may not even require rational explanation to be meaningful.